Trump breaking news. Trump stated, "I will back Trump because I am a conservative about Haley." The prospect of Donald Trump's return to power has enthralled American voters, especially following his astonishing, historic victory in the Iowa caucuses and his victory in New Hampshire. Henry Olson reports in The Telegraph that while very conservative voters constitute a significant ideological faction, Nikki Haley's support among somewhat conservative voters is on the rise, based on their stances on important topics like immigration, energy and climate change, and education. A number of Republican readers of The Telegraph have spoken up about who they will be voting for in the presidential nomination race and why. Rockingham, North Carolina resident Mildred Norris, 83, is certain that South Carolina Senator Nikki Haley would bring back honesty and decency to our country and calls her the best choice we have available for president. Despite the fact that Haley is not perfect, Norris still thinks she has honor and integrity. Within her justification, Mildred cites Haley's choice to display the Confederate flag in reaction to the 2015 Charleston mass massacre, which claimed the lives of 9 individuals from a historically black church. While South Carolina's governor, Haley, had opposed efforts to lower the flag, she eventually signed a bill to have it removed from the State House. The former South Carolina governor believes in allowing the people to have a say about what they want, not just about what she wants. According to Norris, who claims that Haley's changing position in the aftermath of the shooting shows this, they all agreed to take the flag down, so she had it removed. She explains, the present administration, on the other hand, is dishonest and not doing the job they should. According to Norris, literacy rates have plummeted. Government agencies, insurance firms, and pharmaceutical corporations have run amok. The people who were born in the U.S. do not matter to them. They are only concerned with enriching themselves, she says. We want to welcome immigrants. It can't be done in the current disorganized manner, according to Norris. The U.S. has become a magnet for everyone. Legal immigration is great, but until they can prove they can support themselves financially, verbally, and physically, we should not provide them with basic necessities like shelter, food, transportation, or voting rights. I'm 83 years old and I'm still teaching online at a university. In her words, Congress and the President are giving our benefits to people who have not earned them, which puts her hard-earned Social Security and Medicare at risk. Norris argues that Haley should stand firm against amnesty and in favor of a wall. As she promised during her April visit to the southern border, she now backs Haley's entire plan to protect the border, which involves cutting other federal jobs to hire at least 25,000 more Border Patrol personnel. In contrast, Norris believes that the Biden administration looks out for themselves and not the good of our country or people. Aside from that, Norris is on board with Haley's proposal to save Social Security, even though she thinks it will become bankrupt. In contrast to Trump's plans, Haley has proposed raising the retirement age only for workers in their 20s, which would mean that all citizens would face a 23% reduction in benefits in 10 years. Because of Haley, everyone can have a better life today and in the future. According to Norris, lastly, she values Haley's unwavering commitment to her goals and opinions, as well as her specific plans to implement them, such as returning power and authority to the states. She has been quite clear that everyone concerned must reach a unanimous decision on most matters. With the help of the Constitution, which was put in place to make the United States better, she wants America to adhere to it. Norris thinks Haley possesses the ability, the knowledge and the strength to bring ethical and legal principles back to the White House in addition to her executive credentials. Stuart Anderson, a conservative activist and reader of The Telegraph, has described his reasons for, without question, supporting Donald Trump for president. Anderson characterizes himself as having views typical of someone on the right of the U.S. Republican Party and is based in Nashville, Tennessee. That doesn't mean he believes in or trusts the outgoing president. Rather, he plans to go into the re-election of Trump with low expectations, hoping for a nice surprise. To make the Republican Party as consistently and ardently right as the Democratic Party is left, says Anderson, who is now approaching his 81st birthday and is enjoying retirement. My time and resources are dedicated to bringing about that transformation. Well done, Ron. Anderson congratulated Ron DeSantis for his surrender. Continuing to focus on this unsuccessful campaign would be futile, His reasoning for supporting Trump, he explained to The Telegraph, is so that conservatives will have an opportunity to nominate a DeSantis in 2028. "I am a conservative, so I will support Trump," he said. A Trump triumph would be the sole means by which the Biden administration could be terminated promptly, in my opinion. Anderson says that Trump is a blowhard who is ignorant regarding the workings of government. While being basically non-ideological, he will say and support anything that serves his personal short-term interests. His views on the government's operations are also lacking, but he'll sullenly back Trump for two main reasons. Point 1. For his seemingly visceral hostility to climate change fanaticism, fondness for fossil fuel production, and antagonism against government subsidies for alternatives to fossil fuel. Reason number 2. He is opposed to cultural Marxism and everything it stands for. It attempts to undermine devotion to family, religion and country as well as change the cultural norms of Western civilization. Despite this, Trump is unlikely to do anything dramatic about any of this and will be pleasantly surprised if he does, according to Anderson, when elected. Any Democratic administration will be a left-wing administration, so as a conservative my default is the Republican nominee who in this case, unfortunately, happens to be Trump, he argues. As a conservative, he fears there are no debates that give Trump a chance to act like a madman like he did in 2020 and says he will have to go and vote for Trump for the third time when the election nears, while Philip Wallace, who calls himself an enthusiastic non-Democrat, acknowledged that Donald Trump is the logical choice for President of the United States. He made it clear that he had no intention of voting for either candidates. Speaking to The Telegraph, the aerospace engineer expressed his preference for Trump as the safe choice president over a Democrat, saying that the latter requires constant vigilance and monitoring. He went on to say, "To be honest, an individual just can't handle the amount of social change that the Democrats propose." Wallace, a staunch supporter of the American experiment, aligns with the Republican Party. He acknowledges that the party is mainly looking to help business friends via some favorable policy, but insists that there are sufficient safeguards to prevent obvious corruption. So, to rephrase, I can delegate responsibility to the Republicans as stewards, but the Democrats demand constant oversight, and they refuse to pay attention in any case, he stated. Democratic leaders don't ask before making major changes, and sometimes those major changes aren't highlighted in election campaigns, he said, spitting out his frustrations. Though he lived in Georgia, Wallace voted for the Democrats until about 1994, when he came to the realization that the status of the party was rotten to the core, as like many Americans do. It became clear to him that they didn't love the U.S. to the same extent as he did.